All right, so Polygon.com, they have a story that says that eBay sold an NES Classic console every 18 seconds on launch day. That is really fast. If you think about it, the average sale price of $230 means that there's a lot of money that's going out there that Nintendo's not getting. Now, I know that Nintendo actually sold each one of those consoles, and then somebody else turned around and sold it for more. So it's not like they are losing out on sales, but from this. But what is happening is they're using artificial scarcity. And, you know, I say artificial scarcity. I don't really know. Maybe it's real scarcity. Maybe they just can't physically make these things fast enough. But if that's the case, what does that say for the Switch release in March? We'll get back to that in a little bit. No Laughlin, I hope I'm saying that right, on Reddit, posted that if you figure that they started selling around 8 a.m., although there were Walmart scalpers that were selling at midnight, that's roughly 16 hours for launch day. There's 57,600 seconds in 16 hours. This equates to roughly 3,200 units sold. So eBay sold over 3,000 units, if this napkin math is correct. With the average selling price of $230, that's $736,000 that was spent on this device that did not go into Nintendo's pocket. Now, the money that did go into Nintendo's pocket is $192,000 from selling, how many was it? 3,200 of these. All right, so let me break this down. Nintendo sold 3,200 units on launch day through eBay. Okay? For that 3,200 units, Nintendo receives $192,000. Then, those people who bought those then turn around and sell them on eBay, and that generates $736,000. That is a big number. That's a lot of dollars that is not going into Nintendo's pockets. Take into account that eBay makes 10% on every sale, and that's $73,000 that eBay is collecting for basically doing nothing. In fact, eBay made almost 40% of the revenue that Nintendo made off of scalped consoles on launch day, let alone the $650,000 minus shipping, of course, and PayPal fees that the scalpers made. So almost or over $500,000 was made by scalpers on launch day for this console because people couldn't buy it. Nintendo needs to figure out how to make enough product to have it on the shelves so that people won't be doing things like this. Let's say for a lot of people say that this is artificial scarcity. Nintendo's trying to do this to drive up demand so that people are standing in line, generating hype, and then they'll let it trickle out over the next couple weeks, and then in a month, they'll be on every store shelf. Maybe that's true. Maybe that is how they're going to do it. Maybe Nintendo really can't seem to figure out how to make enough of these. I don't know which of these two scenarios is true. But either way, there is one thing that they could have done to prevent this kind of scalping that was happening. And that is to be a little more transparent. On the day of the release of the NES Classic, Nintendo of America posted on Twitter, not to worry, that there's going to be plenty of them throughout the holiday season. Why didn't Nintendo say that before then? That way, people wouldn't have been selling them on eBay for quite so much. When I was standing in line to buy one of these things, There was more than once where I was talking to somebody and that person said, actually, I think it's a limited run. Nintendo's not making any more of these. So people were under the impression that it was a collector's item. I mean, not that it's not a collector's item, but people were under the impression that they were going to make this one run and then you wouldn't be able to get them ever again. And I can understand why people would spend a lot more on an item that they thought was a limited edition. So when you think about this, the NES Classic, as being a limited edition, a lot of collectors are going to shell out a whole bunch of money because they want to have a complete Nintendo collection. And I can understand why they do that. I personally wouldn't do that. I wouldn't pay over the $60 that it already costs, but I can understand why people would. People who collect things, they want to have everything. And because Nintendo was closed off and non-communicative. Communicative? Is that a word? I think it is. I'm going to pretend it is. We're going to say it is now. Because Nintendo was so non-communicative, I don't think it's a word, nobody knew whether or not they were going to make more of these until after a bunch of eBay auctions had already happened. So it seems to me like Nintendo, they need to work on two things. First, they need to work on their supply chain. They need to, if you are to believe Nintendo that they just underestimated the demand, which I don't understand how they could have underestimated the demand, because when they announced this thing, people went bananas for it, and then we were clamoring for information for a really long time. You would think that that would be a pretty good signal to Nintendo. Hey, people want this thing. Let's make sure that we build a lot of them. So, first off, if that's true that they underestimated the demand, then they need to figure out how to estimate demand a lot better. And secondly, they need to be more transparent and they need to communicate with their customers a lot better, especially if they can't figure this out by March. This is what I'm worried about. I'm worried about this happening again with the Switch. If March comes and it's just like it was this time, where there's no pre-orders allowed and you're standing in line at midnight at places or lining up outside at 4 a.m. to get a hold of one, then it's going to be mayhem and it's going to really tick people off. I really don't want to have to do that, especially in March when the weather, I mean, we lucked out this year in the U.S. It was pretty warm, at least for me here in New York. It was pretty warm when this thing was launched. The chances of it being nice here in March are pretty slim. And standing outside in the nasty, nasty weather that's going to be coming my way come March is really not something that I'm looking forward to. I don't want to have to stand outside of a Best Buy in a blizzard waiting for the Nintendo Switch. I want to buy it online. I want to go to the website, Amazon, or for crying out loud, Nintendo, just sell your own damn stuff. Just sell it on your own website. I want to go to Nintendo.com and say, here's my money. Send it to me as soon as you can. That's all that people want. And if Nintendo did this, they would really tick off a lot less customers. So I guess the last thing that I want to say is come March, I don't want to have to be standing in line to buy something. Just let me buy it online. And if I don't get it the first day, that's fine. But let me just buy it online. Let me give you my credit card number and send me a thing. That's all we want.